Top 5 novels. We are back with books again. So 10 books altogether,
Total?
I think. Yeah. Math. I can do addition.
That's good.
So I think we'll start with the lady.
So obviously these are our opinions.
Personal.
Yeah, personal opinions. And this is as of right now. It's very difficult. I'm still trying to decide if I made the right decision.
And go.
So the first one I'm going to go with is Gillian Flynn. And I know everyone's going to think I'm going to mention Gone Girl as one of my top 5. I'm not. If you've read all of her books, you would know that Dark Places is better. Because it is. It is about Libby, and her whole family is pretty much dead. And her brother, she feels like, is the murderer. And he's in jail for it. And it's back then time from her brother's point of view. And her point of view in the present day. So, it's fantastic. I love it. And it's got her little spins and twists in it. It's great. If you've read Gone Girl, you love it. You need to read this because you'll love it even more, I promise.
Yeah, she's a great writer. Has she written anything recently?
No. She's written a very short story recently.
Maybe she's cashed in on her fame because she's got some IPs out there. You know, they made the Gone Girl movie. There was a Dark Places or Sharp Objects HBO show.
Sharp Objects.
You know, she's probably not hurting for money now.
Dark Places was also maybe, but it didn't do so well. They didn't do a very good job of making it
it was not a good movie. It had Charlize Theron in it.
Compared to the book, it was like, oof.
Yeah, we were disappointed.
I mean, Gone Girl I thought was great both ways, but...
Yeah, the movies.
That did not happen for Dark Places, let me tell you right now.
Well, because I think it was the same director as, like, Fight Club, David Fincher.
Oh.
So.
Well, the next one is Kristin Hannah, and it's The Nightingale. I mean, this is a very well-known, well-loved book. I think it's fantastic. It's very emotionally hitting. It's about World War II and France. 2 sisters. One is a mother with 2 kids and a husband who went off to war. The other one is very, very young, doesn't have any kind of attachments to anything. She wants to help France.
Medic or something?
No, she ends up being like someone who helps like escapees and stuff so they don't get...
Oh, a partisan?
Yeah.
That's what they called them in France.
Like people who like plane crashes and Americans, and she like helps them not get captured, pretty much.
Yeah, French partisans.
So anyway, there's a lot of hard-hitting stuff that happens in this book. And at the end, I was by myself, thank God. I was all by myself, and I was bawling like a big baby. I've never done that before or since. So
she didn't even cry at our wedding.
And I cried at this book. The next is T.J. Klune, The House in the Cerulean Sea.
Cerulean.
So, there we go. It looks like it's meant for a middle grade. It's not. It is an adult book. It's kind of a little fantasy into it. It's about a guy. He's in charge of making sure that orphanages that he goes to are being ran correctly and fairly. And there's something happening that's bad for the kids, but the kids are special. They have all kinds of different abilities. He's in charge of going to a certain one that is apparently like extreme. Like these kids are they consider very, very dangerous, and he goes there to make sure everything's taken care of. And it's very heartwarming and very loving. And again, something that will just like warm you up. Next, Andy Weir, Hail Mary. This man has made me love science fiction. I've read also The Martian, loved it too, but loved this more. And it's just great. It's about a guy who's trying to save Earth. Like he wakes up in the ship and he doesn't remember anything. So it's kind of like when he does remember things and gets his memory. So it kind of does the past and then the present day and him trying to save Earth. So it's fantastic. I love it.
It is a great book. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Wonderful. This is another one that I couldn't decide author-wise what to pick, but I ended up going, it's Fredrik Backman, Anxious People. I've pretty much read almost every single thing of his. I think there's a few books I still am missing. I couldn't decide on, there's a lot. Man Called Ove, Beartown, they're all fantastic. He's a great author. I picked this one because I really like all the characters. It kind of reminded me of A Man Called Ove, multiple by 5 or 6 people, because they are all so great and they all have their little quirks and It's an extremely entertaining read. And the way that it's written, which everyone says it's different than all of his other books, I think it makes it even better. So that's why I chose this one, because of all his books, I feel like this one is the best.
My first book of the 5 is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. It's a story about a guy named Charlie who is low IQ and I believe a janitor, and he volunteers for this experiment. It's successful. It makes him genius level IQ, and then goes from there. In case anybody hasn't read it, you should probably stop the video and read it.
He actually got this book for me to read because he loved it so much, and he wants me to experience it as well. Yeah,
this is a book I've never forgotten about. I read this in college. It won the Hugo and the Nebula Award, which is a big deal in the science fiction field as far as for writers go. It's not a long book. It's, I think, a little over 300 pages, like 305 pages. Charlie's beautifully written, and he meets a little mouse as part of the experiment named Algernon. They develop a relationship, and not in a weird way. It's just, you know, they're both involved in the same experiment. The way things go ends similarly for the both of them. If of any of the books that I name in this list that I think you should read, it would probably be this one, just because it'll stick with you. It's a great book.
Back.
It's very good.
Let you know.
Yeah, she'll like it. My next book, the second book, and this is in no particular order. I'm not ranking them or anything.
Yeah, same here.
Is Who Goes There? I think I've covered this previously. This is what the 1982 movie The Thing is based on. It's really short, over 100 pages. That's it, but it's tightly written. All the characters are very realistic and memorable. If you've seen the movie, the original, you'll know some of them. It's based on a remote Antarctic outpost, and they're doing some research like meteorology and weather, or weather is meteorology. But they're doing all kinds of science experiments. There's a whole group of scientists. There's like geologists, meteorologists. They come across an anomaly, and then the story goes from there. But they call it The Thing, what they encounter, and there's some cool little details in the story. But it's basically, if you've seen The Hateful Eight, this is what he based his story on, of The Hateful Eight, on Who Goes There, because there's so much paranoia, and everyone's kind of afraid of everyone else because they can't identify what is going on. Yeah, and if you haven't seen the movie The Thing, you should definitely watch it. It's a great movie. The Hateful Eight is also great.
I was talking about The Hateful Eight.
Well, The Thing is a great movie, especially since it came out, you know, what, almost 40 years ago now, and the creature effects and the special effects, they're all practical effects. CGI basically didn't exist even then at all. And to me, it's a phenomenal movie, too. It's probably my favorite sci-fi horror movie, and this is my favorite sci-fi horror book. So my third pick is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. This was a very, very close top 5 pick with The Road. I love that book too. It's a tough read though, The Road is, and this one is too. Wouldn't you agree? You read this one. Yeah, we used to be a part of a book club, and this was one of the books we read, and nobody else liked it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
The book club ended after this book.
It was a very it was a very realistic. It's a very realistic portrayal of the West. The main driver, at least initially in the book, is scalping. So it's a group of these guys who are permitted by the government. It's pretty brutal. It's very graphic.
It's not an easy light read, that's for sure.
No, it's not. He has if you've read anything by Cormac McCarthy, you know he has a very poetic way of writing his prose, and he'll describe like these beautiful pastoral landscapes and mountains and plains and stuff, and then suddenly somebody gets an arrow in their head and there's like blood everywhere and somebody's getting shot and ran over by a horse and all kinds of crazy gnarly stuff. It's pretty graphic,
but it's still poetic, so it's like
yeah, when he's describing scenery and such.
Yeah,
and there's some really brutal scenes that you'll remember. But it's just, I just love his writing style, and he's such a unique writer. That's my third one. And of course, my fourth one, I also read this one in college, not for a book or anything, but is Fight Club. And actually, this is the only Chuck Palahniuk book I've read, And it's just so darkly humorous, and the way that society is portrayed and like his thought process on the image of men in society and people and the human race or our culture in general, being obsessed with consumerism and buying products and looking a certain way and aesthetics and what that means to be human and all that stuff. All these things factor into this book. It's an awesome book. I've always liked it. And the fact that he's obviously mentally unstable, but and the movie's a great adaptation too. That's another one. David Fincher directed the Fight Club movie too, so I would watch that if you haven't. I'm sure everybody's seen it. It came out in like '99. So, all right. And so my last pick.
That's the end, folks.
Okay, so my fifth pick is this nondescript book, Dune. I kind of want to get
You need to get
the series, or at least the Frank Herbert series of matching covers. There's some neat covers out there. Anyway, the movie just came out not too long ago. It's an awesome movie. It's part 1 of 2, so warning. It's actually only covering about half the book. There are a lot of subplots in this book, a lot of characters, memorable characters though. A lot of action. My favorite part about this book is the setting, but also the political intrigue and how well written it is. It's all very believable in what happens, and it's somewhat of a tragedy, actually, I would say too. But Duke Leto is tasked with taking over this planet called Arrakis. And Arrakis, the melange, or spice, as they refer to it like in the movie, they don't even call it melange at all, is a very important substance. And I won't spoil why, but this is a book you should read, especially if you're into science fiction, or maybe even political intrigue, or subterfuge, or even action. There's some good action in it. But his world building is, second to none. His characters are very believable and interesting. So if you haven't read Dune, read it. It's awesome. Even if you don't read any of the other books, I have been told and read that the other books after this are pretty good too, especially, I think it was Dune Messiah and God Emperor of Dune are really good too, from what I've heard. There's another YouTuber that I like. He's kind of a big YouTuber, but he talks about science fiction stuff mainly. His channel is Quinn's Ideas.
I was about to ask.
He does a really good job of covering all that stuff, and not only that, but he knows it all and he's read it all already. But
so you've only read the first book?
Yeah, for sure. I only read the first book. But if you're more interested in anything regarding Dune, you should check out his channel. And I'll put links to the channels that we mentioned, Murphy and Quinn, just in the description of, so you can check their YouTube channels out. But I would highly recommend you read any of these. I would actually also recommend you read any of the ones that she read that I've also read, which are Project Hail Mary, and then the 2 Gillian Flynn books, Dark Places, Gone Girl. Those two are, if you like thrillers, those are fantastic books. I hadn't read a single thriller until when I was teaching. A colleague of mine, a fellow teacher, let me borrow Dark Places, and I was like, whoa, this book's amazing. And we read Gone Girl too back in the day. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I agree. I think you should read all these. I'm not 100% on the whole, Blood Meridian, but...
Yeah, it's Western, by the way. It's a Western.
Mm-hmm. Which Westerns, I like Westerns. It's just, I think it's his way, his writing style is not my cup of tea. I think that's what it is. His descriptions and all that. It's just the way he tells the story is kind of... She's
not big on... like environmental detail or
writing
or poetic writing or anything like that. She just wants the bones. Yeah. Tell me what everything. Give me the bare bones of what the setting is like and what the people are like, and let me move on. She's more interested in the characters themselves than the setting or the world building or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big character reader.
Yeah. Whereas
if the characters suck, I'm not gonna care about how beautiful the world is.
Yeah, whereas I like, I don't mind the flowery language and stuff because I like learning the world building and the lore and the description and what the surroundings are like or the setting. So I don't mind that stuff so much at all. That is our list. If you want, tell us what your top 5 books are right now in the comments. Give us a like, a thumbs up.
If you like us,
if you're not subscribed,
subscribe to
click the button. Ring the bell.
And let us know if you read one of these books and you would put it in the top 5, or
Or if you wouldn't, and
Ooh,
why?
yeah.
Yeah. Let us know,
Let's have
your
some
thoughts
fun. Let's
on
have
our
some
list.
conversations. That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.